Many businesses are now telling workers to stay at home during this pandemic, but some of those businesses may face legal consequences somewhere down the road. Fox 5 legal analyst Wendy joining us now to explain. Wendy, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, Raul. Thank you.
Okay, let's get to the biggest legal issues facing businesses during this time, because I think a lot of the small business owners and other folks, the last thing they want to have to deal with is thinking about litigious this or that or lawsuits or legalities, but that's the reality.
Well, it could be the reality, Raul, and here's what they are looking at right about now. They're looking at both safety and salaries for their employees, and they need to balance how to deliver both. Now, we've had a couple of weeks to work on it, and businesses and employers everywhere have really stepped up. They've looked at what they need to provide teleworking employees with the tools they need to do their jobs, first of all. And then secondly, for employees that actually need to come into a physical workplace, they've stepped up efforts to be informed as can be as to how to keep those employees safe. Now, both of those are evolving because when it comes to litigation, Raul, as you correctly identify, might be coming down the chain, that what are courts going to look at? They're going to look at industry standards. They're going to look at the science that was known at the time. They're going to look at the reasonable precautions that employers took to make sure that their employees could have both a salary and safety. Those are some of the things that courts will look at, not if, but when we get to the stage where somebody brings a lawsuit.
When we get to that state where somebody brings a lawsuit, how does a lot of companies, a lot of places right now are literally establishing precedents as we go? How does that
Raul, that's the best point we can make here, is when you look at establishing precedent, that's exactly what is happening now, is industries and workplaces are looking not only to each other, but remember, they also have government guidance. Now, governments, we hope, are guided by science, and that's why you hear joint press conferences. You have a community leader paired with a doctor. So you've got a good basis of knowledge that can guide employers and workplaces. Remember, delivery drivers and shoppers are being hired like crazy. There's all these new jobs available, but how can they be hired safely? Again, we go back to both. You can provide new people salaries, but you also have to keep them safe. So exactly, precedent is being established by businesses that are listening to the science, they're listening to the directives of government leaders, and they're also listening to their employees. They also have to be both legal and ethical. They have to make their employees feel safe. So you're correct, it's new territory, it's new ground, it's evolving, but we're all going through this together.
It's unbelievable that we're seeing so much of this that normally takes months and years. It's all happening in real time, and it's really happening on the fly. But the question for me is, how can employees actually prove? How can they prove that they're doing everything they can to protect their employees? Because everybody's getting the email saying, hey, we're doing everything possible to make sure.
Right.
But how do they prove that? It's just too difficult to have that, to ask people to prove it?
Well, proof, as you know, to give in your week in law school or whatever it was, proof is everything when it comes to what legal rights you can have or not have or avail yourself of. So as far as proof by the employer, they have to make sure that they knew all the information. They took all the reasonable precautions. If they had warnings, they were very conspicuous. They were complete. You have to say more than wash your hands. You have to be able to really be informed yourself as to what the science requires to stay safe. Now, on the customer side, because remember, grocery stores and essential businesses are open, if God forbid you become sick and you finger some type of a place that you spent time, you have to be able to prove that too. So that is one of the other reasons that all kinds of businesses are themselves making sure they take reasonable precautions, not only to protect their employees, but to protect the customers. Now, it's one thing to say I was on the Grand Princess and I got sick. It's quite another to say I was out and about and I ran a series of errands and I started having symptoms that night. You can't prove where you were at or who you were around to be able to catch that. So the best businesses can do is take all of the proactive precautions on the front end to protect everybody involved. That's what they seem to be doing right now.
Yeah, you went into that last question I had for you, because in terms of finding a source of the infection, I mean, people around the world don't even know where that happened, let alone did you catch it at store number 1, store number 2, restaurant here, Subway there. It's practically impossible.
It is, and who's patient zero? We always ask ourselves that when a community becomes infected. we remind ourselves these are not just numbers, they're neighbors. The people that are becoming infected are our loved ones, our customers, our really our friends, loved ones, neighbors, coworkers. So when you look at how did that happen, it's true. You don't just look at businesses, but you look at business contacts. Who were you around? Who did you spend time with? So these are the kinds of questions that both consumers and employers are asking themselves. And we're not only learning together, Raul, but as a community, we're seeking to protect not only ourselves, our loved ones, but each other. And here in San Diego, we're doing a very good job of that.
We're all trying to figure it out. Wendy Patrick, thank you as always.
Thank you.